Hi, I'm Katrina Savage. I'm from Orange County, California, and I shear my own goats. After raising pygmy goats, I met the Angora goats and fell in love with them, and I love their purpose. I love their fiber. I love that they provide me with something, their fiber. A lot of interaction with them, their fleece, taking care of them, shearing them, and then playing with their fiber afterwards. It's just, I learn something new about these guys every day. Today I am in Lake Forest at the barn of the Krupniks, and she has 7 Angora goats as well as a whole bunch of pygmy goats. So we are here today shearing her herd.
Yes, they're very easy to pick up. This one is almost a year. She's 11 months old.
Being able to have a community of friends that are involved in the same hobby as you, raising the Angora goats, it's priceless to have that community to be able to help each other out and cheer for each other.
This is my teacher.
Yeah.
I have no formal education in shearing. Katrina taught me to shear last year, and I was quite intimidated to shear with the typical shears. So I am using a Legend, and it is a clipper head, which gave me a little bit more confidence to get started, and especially with the help of Katrina and her guidance.
It's priceless to be able to help each other out and cheer for each other and feed and clean and and bounce ideas off of each other. It's great, and we have quite a few Angora goat people in Orange County now, so it's a fun little community. Having a fiber animal like an Angora goat, it's completely doable. Sometimes you just have to pick up the clippers and do it, and you bring your friends over and you get help and you watch videos. You can sign up for shearing clinics. They have them in Texas and in California, and just reach out to people because it's doable. It's hard work, but you can do it on the stanchion, you can do it on the ground. There's so many different ways. I've taken, I guess semi-professional shearing class in Texas where you're being taught by professionals and they are banging them out. But one thing I learned that was really important is you have to adjust your shearing style for what works best for you. So if it means you're going to shear them on the stanchion, that's great. If you have the physicality to be able to flip them and do them on the ground, that's great too. It's a very individual practice, and just put your hands on a goat and put your hands on a clipper and just do it. That's how Emma learned. She just put a clipper in her hand.
I love it.
There's a lot of misconceptions floating around social media and the news right now about the keeping and the care of fiber animals, sheep and Angora goats. And the misconception is that it's cruel, that it's inhumane to keep them, it's inhumane to shear them. And by having programs where kids get to see firsthand that it's not cruel, that it is very humane to shear them. They need to be sheared. They don't shed their own fiber. As you can see from the goats walking around, they're very happy. They're in good condition. They're not tortured. They're not screaming. So the more we can bring this product into the public's eye, especially here in Orange County where they're not as prevalent as in the rural areas, the more we educate, the more you can counter all the negative publicity that is floating out there. It makes me excited every day when I teach somebody new about it and I change their mind, like, I didn't know that. And that's like the best words you can hear from somebody that didn't know and now they know, and they realize that wool and mohair, it's a great natural sustainable fiber, and it's better for our environment than the synthetics.
Angora goats make a lot of sense for 4-H kids throughout the country. There's so many aspects to taking care of them, from just basic everyday care of a goat to proper nutrition, and then growing proper nutrition for growing the mohair. Angora goats are absolutely a project that the entire family can enjoy and use. My son originally got into 4-H with small animals and started with pygmy goats because he was intimidated by the prospect of raising an animal and taking it to market with a terminal end. The goats have enabled him to experience a little bit larger livestock without having to take it to market for auction. It is for kids that maybe are vegetarians and vegans that don't want to go that route. The goats are a perfect avenue for that, with also all of the fiber arts projects that can come from raising them at the end. We are here with our goats every single day, feeding, cleaning, and caring for them. He is in the stanchion right now, and he is in here to have his feet trimmed today, as well as to be sheared. And he is not uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. But he's up here for a very short period of time, and it's actually safer for him and for us for him to have him in a secure place while he is being sheared. He would not come up to us if he was at all traumatized or had been hurt in any way. They're very trusting creatures. Right now I'm trimming his feet. We trim between every 4 and 6 weeks. And just to keep their feet in shape and on a level surface. Yes, we had our first kid born 2 years ago, and we had 5 born last spring. We have kept all of them. Last year we had 4 boys and decided to keep all of them, so we have 4 Weathers. Weather is a castrated male. Really, it was a matter of evaluating each goat for its strengths and weaknesses, and like for example, not having such great horns, he was immediately a choice to be a Weather. Well, we really enjoy the general care of the goats, in addition to the fiber aspect. And so for fiber goats, Weathers are awesome. Their coats don't coarsen. They stay nice and baby, kid fine. Weathers have very even temperaments. They don't go through the hormonal fluctuations that the bucks and the does do, especially the bucks. They're just very easygoing, and they make great pets in general, in addition to the fiber production. Weathers make sense in a small suburban environment, basically because space is limited, and you can keep the goats without having to breed them. They make wonderful. Their temperaments are very even. Their fleeces are just buttery soft and beautiful. They don't have the hormonal influences that the bucks do. Elton was born here at our ranch last year in April. He had a little bit of a rough delivery, and thanks to Katrina, Elton made it through, so he is very bonded to us, and he would much rather follow us most of the time than even his herd.
Where I live in South Orange County, it's all very suburban. There's no agriculture and livestock. It's not a prevalent thing as compared to where I grew up in Northern California. Our high school here, Mission Viejo, does have an FFA program, and it's great. It exposes the kids to raising market animals and gardening, and my kids went through the program there, and it was great because they were exposed to something that I couldn't give them. Where I live, it's more of a horse community, so being able to have goats on my little piece of property is great, and little small farms are cropping up everywhere. If somebody has an acre and they have the zoning, it's really great to see more and more of these little hobby farms cropping up. A lot of the 4-H kids and the FFA kids, they have the animals, but they have to keep them at either a community farm or they have to rent space from somewhere else. So it's just good to see it being brought into an area that it's not a common thing.
We actually do not own our own farm. We are here in Lake Forest, California. We live about 10 minutes from here, but we found an area where we can rent pens to house our goats. It's tucked away in an industrial area. No one actually knows it's back here, but it's been a farm here since early 80s, but it's just a great place for us to have them locally. Finding a place to house your goats in a suburban area can be challenging, but there are definitely opportunities to small farms, people's backyards. You can actually find oftentimes places at horse boarding stables that have pens available.
I started with the pygmy goats, and they're a small, compact goat, which works good for my space. And when I was transitioning into Angora goats, another reason why I was attracted to them, because they are also a smaller breed of fiber animal. I don't have to keep a big, huge 150-pound sheep. I can keep a nice mid-size Angora goat, and it works really well for my space. I have a barn with 3 pens, and I can fit quite a few in each pen because of their size. Back in the 50s and 60s, there was a stigma around mohair that it was itchy and scratchy because of the fuzzy halo on it, and it's just not true. Mohair today is fine, it's luxurious, it's soft. It can be blended with other fibers so you can wear it against your skin, and you get the beautiful halo of the mohair combined with the structure of some other natural fibers. I'm currently in the process of knitting a mohair silk sweater right now, and it's going to be light and airy, and it's really coming out really soft. One of the things that small fiber farms can do to keep the integrity of the fiber and keep it kid fine is good feed and good care, and better understanding of breeding and selection and breeding for that fine kid quality in your fleece. So I get asked a lot how I got into the goats and what would somebody do, like how would I get involved in it if I wanted to get into, having fiber goats. Do your research and make sure you have the knowledge, the time, the commitment. An Angora goat has got the lifespan, of a dog. It's a 10 to 15 plus year commitment, and it's a lot of work and it's an expense. You'll run across something new every day, so make sure you have a community that you can get information from. Research the product of an Angora goat, the mohair, the fibers, because if we've all learned, even with 1 or 2 goats being sheared twice a year, that fiber piles up, and there's the expense to have it processed. There's the knowledge in order to process it yourself. But luckily in the the age that we live in now, there's YouTube videos, there's educational videos. Wonderful farms in our state are doing these wonderful videos to educate people like me that are new to it, that are keeping it very small scale. It's 100% a passion. You have to have the passion, you have to have the desire to learn, the willingness to get dirty and try something that's completely out of your comfort zone. From my to-do list or my bucket list of projects that I want to do is probably longer than I will be able to achieve in my lifetime, because there's so much to do with the product from these wonderful animals. And if you definitely have an interest in it, come to the fairs. We're always willing and ready to talk your ear off about these animals. They are one of those breeds that once you get to know them, you just can't help but fall in love with their personalities, with their product, with the community that it brings you into. They're just great. I'm Katrina Savage, and I'm the Southwest Regional Director of the Colored Angora Goat Breeders Association, CAGBA. You can find them on the internet at cagba.org. Here's the link, and you can also search Colored Angora Goat Breeders on Facebook, and you will discover a wealth of knowledge and information.